You are standing in a room full of people, 50 faces, maybe 100, laughter to your left, music somewhere behind you. Someone is telling a story, and everyone around them is smiling. And you are smiling too. But somewhere underneath that smile, something strange is happening. A feeling that doesn't make sense. A feeling you're not supposed to have. You feel alone. Not the quiet, peaceful kind of alone, the other kind. The kind that presses on your chest in a room full of noise. The kind that makes you feel invisible while everyone can see you. So why does being surrounded by people feel so lonely? Loneliness. It doesn't wait for empty rooms. It doesn't need silence or solitude or a door closed to the rest of the world. Some of the loneliest moments of a person's life happen in the most crowded ones. At parties, at family dinners, in group chats with 40 unread messages, in cities of 10 million people. Because loneliness was never really about how many people are near you. It was always about how many people actually see you. Think about the last time you were in a full room and still felt unseen. Maybe you were laughing at a joke you didn't find funny. Maybe you were nodding along to a conversation that had nothing to do with what was actually on your mind. Maybe you looked around and realized not one person in this room knows what today has really been like for you. That's the gap. Not the space between bodies, but the space between what's real and what's performed. And the human mind is built to notice that gap, even when it doesn't have the words for it. We grow up believing a simple equation. More people equals less lonely. Move to a bigger city. Join more groups. Say yes to every invitation. Fill the calendar. Fill the room. If loneliness is an empty space, then surely the solution is to put more people into it. But loneliness was never a spatial problem. It's a relational one. You can sit 2 feet away from someone and still feel 1,000 miles from being known. You can share a bed, a office, a childhood, a last name, and still feel like a stranger in the room. Because proximity measures distance, it doesn't measure depth. And somewhere along the way, many of us collected proximity. Coworkers, acquaintances, followers, plus ones, while quietly running out of depth. Rooms filled up, people multiplied, and the ache stayed exactly where it was. This is the myth we were never told we were living inside, that being around people and being with people are the same thing. They are not. How are you? Good, you? Good, busy, you know how it is. Nobody in that exchange learned anything true. Nobody was known. But the script was followed perfectly, and the room moved on, satisfied that connection had technically occurred. We are taught from a very young age to keep the real answer to ourselves, to keep the version of us that's tired, afraid, grieving, uncertain, locked somewhere behind the version that smiles and says, "Good, you?" And the exhausting part isn't the performance itself. It's doing it in front of dozens of people, day after day, and slowly forgetting what your unscripted voice even sounds like. Loneliness, in this sense, isn't the absence of people around you. It's the absence of a place to put down the script. It's being fluent in small talk and starving for real talk. And the tragic irony is, everyone else in that crowded room is doing the exact same thing. Everyone is performing fine at each other. A room full of people, all quietly wishing someone would ask the follow-up question. All quietly unwilling to be the one who asks it first. We are, by almost every measure, the most connected generation to ever exist. A message reaches someone on the other side of the planet in under a second. You can watch a stranger's entire day unfold on a screen. You can have 300 friends, 12 group chats, and a notification every few minutes telling you someone, somewhere, is thinking of you. And yet, loneliness hasn't gone down. In many places, it has climbed. Because connection built on glass and signal is thin in a very specific way. It gives you access to people without asking anything real of you. You can like a photo without ever asking how someone's actually doing. You can watch someone's highlight reel and mistake it for knowing their life. We didn't lose the ability to connect. We gained 1,000 ways to feel like we already had, without ever doing the harder work that real connection requires. So we sit in rooms full of people, phones in hand, more reachable than any generation before us, and somehow still reaching for something we can't quite name. There is a quiet, important difference between being alone and being lonely, and most of us were never taught it. Alone is a state, lonely is a wound. You can be entirely alone, no one else in the room, no phone in hand, nothing but your own thoughts, and feel completely at peace, whole, unbothered. Some of the most content people in history spent long stretches of life in solitude and called it restoration, not punishment. And you can be in a room of 100 people who love you, technically, and still feel that wound, still feel unseen. So the question was never really, why does being around people feel lonely? The real question is, why do I feel so unseen, even here? And that question doesn't get answered by adding more people to the room. It gets answered by finding the few who are willing to ask the follow-up question. The ones willing to sit with the real answer, not the scripted one. The ones who make a crowded room feel, for just a moment, like it has room for the truth. Maybe loneliness was never a signal that something is wrong with you. Maybe it's a signal, quiet, persistent, easy to ignore in a loud room, that you are built for something deeper than proximity, that some part of you keeps holding out for a version of connection that doesn't ask you to perform first. The room full of people was never the problem. The silence between what you show and what you feel, that was always the real room you were standing in. And maybe the way out isn't finding more people. Maybe it's finding the courage, just once, to skip the script, to answer "How are you?" honestly, to ask the follow-up question first. Because the room doesn't get less lonely when it gets more full. It gets less lonely when it gets more true. If this made you think of a moment, a room, a party, a dinner table, where you felt exactly this, you're not the only one. That's the strange comfort in all of this. The loneliness you feel in a crowd is one of the most quietly shared experiences there is. Let me know in the comments, when was the last time you felt lonely in a room full of people? If this video gave you something to sit with, subscribe, because on this channel we ask the questions most people feel but never say out loud. I'll see you in the next one.